We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello! Welcome to the Augmented Reality podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights about games and the gaming industry. It is January 9th, 2021, and it is the Saturday edition of the show. My name is Moontag, and while Ash is out today, I'm here as always with Obsidian. Hello!
Hello. So yeah, it's Ash is out, so we're gonna burn down the studio. I mean, we're gonna try to not burn down the studio. Um, yeah, so it's always fun when this happens, and yeah, so we've got some light news to talk about. The one thing that we're going to talk about that wasn't really in the title of the stream today is we're going to be talking about the games that are coming up in 2021. Because this is actually a really common question I get is like, well, what is actually coming out? Like, what do we have to look forward to? There's a bunch of unannounced titles or titles that haven't been slated for 2021 release, which we're going to get, um, because it's right now there's a lot of interest for new games and better games and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, um, and I just realized that I have nothing for the screen.
Oh,
Oh
oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. All right.
that is hilarious.
So yeah.
It's like, either way, it's nice to see so many of you joining us for the live stream. Please say hi in the chat and send us your questions and comments too. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And as we get going, don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And for those listening after the fact on one of the audio only platforms, we're glad to have you join us and we're grateful for your likes and follows there too. To get the latest info sooner, be sure to hit the link in the description below to subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel.
So yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I have nothing for the image for today. Did Ash send you the
No, he actually
Okay.
did that. That is so
Okay. All
funny.
right. Well, all right. So I'm like, huh, maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I should boot up something. But the
We have something.
but the problem is that so okay. All right. Well, anyways, let's talk interesting games. Um yeah. Oh, and there goes the phone, of course. I told you we were going to burn down the studio. It's fine.
Clearly, it was like, Ash, what are you doing? Why did you have to do this to us? He clearly should be here.
Okay. Like I really want something on the screen right now, but I don't have anything that I can throw up. Like right now my Cyberpunk is currently modded to Kingdom Come and is a little on the unstable side. So we can't do that because it's like half of the animations are not working right now and the other half are experiencing massive bugs. Again, we're modding, so I'm going through mods. We're uh, the mod showcase has been doing pretty well. Let us know if you guys are enjoying that. We've got another episode coming out soon, I believe. So yeah, check that out. Is oop, oop, double audio, love it. Let us know how. Let us know if you're enjoying those. I've got to say that overall the modding is really improving the overall game. It's got really strong potential, stronger than any game I've seen in a really long time. I only hope that they put out those tools sooner rather than later because a lot of those fixes, a lot of that stuff that are coming out, like the community is outpacing the devs with the number of fixes that they've been able to create without mod tools. So if they were to put out the mod tools, we would see a massive increase in modding and a lot of fixes for that. So this is something that they need to get on pronto, 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 pronto. Um, so yeah, this is, but it's also really exciting because it's like right now we're starting to see stuff. We're starting to see them find like all this cut content, all this unused content, and we're starting to see them like really put some of that stuff to the fire, so to the forge. So this is overall this is a really great thing. Um, really excited to see where this goes from here. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's a so far it's looking really great. So we're gonna be covering the mods for the next couple of months for sure, and then like I said, if they release those tools, things are gonna get pretty crazy with this pretty quickly. Because while we do have a lot of good games coming out, oh, and there's the doggos, they say hello. While we do have a ton of good games coming out, we still have, I think, a lull in where we would have been if this whole
World situation.
World situation Armageddon hadn't happened. If that hadn't happened, I think we'd be a lot further along. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's definitely been amazing with like how people have been able to come together and work through all of this stuff here. And oh my goodness, let's see here. But yeah, so oh, Moon. Thanks, Atomic Sue. Moon, we need an emergency commander pic to put up, I think. I would love to put up a picture of Commander. However, I don't have access to the stream. It's coming from Subs and
well, you can send it to me, and then I can put it up.
but I am pulling up some pictures here as take care of the dog situation. But yeah, no, lately, like, I did play like through a bunch of the cyberpunk to try to blast my way to get to those romances. But now I've fallen back and I was taking a bit of a break to play Spirit Fair, and oh my gosh, it is so freaking pretty.
Right? And it's a nice game, and there's a bunch of other cool things that are coming out in that, like in the cool kind of stuff that we have coming out in the near future. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's not too bad. Um, shall we get into the first big story?
Yes, we may as well.
All right, and then yeah, just
So,
send me anything you want for like pictures.
mhm. Yes, I'm pulling together pictures of the games that are coming out, some of the games that we're looking for the next year. Got some of them in the chat. So yeah, so one of the big news things that we want to cover today is some news that came down at just the beginning of January here from Japan. So back in 2012, 2013, they started to enact a bunch of copyright and anti-piracy laws to combat the illegal downloads of manga from the internet. And like at first it didn't cover any of the smaller works, but since then they've expanded these laws to become much broader reaching. Specifically,
mm-hmm.
now any unlicensed, doesn't matter, any unlicensed manga that you download from the internet legally, not to your cache, if you physically download it to your computer, not just through streaming or browsing, then they'll try to come after you. And there seems to be a lot of company like taking this new laws to like as far as they can run, really.
Yeah, because again, with governments, they don't move as fast as like they started this in 2012, right? So
Hmm.
2012, they're like, "Oh my goodness, look at all how popular manga is. Oh, look, people are stealing it. Okay, well, we need to come up with a solution for this problem." Barr! And then they go a little on the crazy side. And then we realize, and the one of the things causing the problem was that there was no easy way to get their hands on on actual manga. Like if you were interested in some of these titles in
Hmm.
2012, it was more or less fairly difficult for you as the average normal consumer to get your hands on this stuff because first of all, you didn't even know typically where to go, to grab these. A lot of these at that time, not all of them, but a smaller portion of them weren't being officially translated. Those translations were coming from the community,
Hmm.
and
Scanlations.
those so the fan translations were primarily the way that these things were being translated. Um, Now you fast forward to when this law actually gets out, and it's so much easier to access manga. You have so many more people accessing it via apps in the store. You have more official translators and a lot more like attention being paid to the wider market, and so they're just shooting out things like rapidly, one after another, after another, after another, um, and it really is quite interesting in how these companies, they were able to catch up and figure out a decent solution for a lot of these problems. And then the laws come up, and the laws end up, I think really the laws are now starting to damage this, because the fan, in the chat we had somebody mentioning that the fan, I don't
Fan
know.
art. Yeah, they're coming after fan art now. And like somebody even posted on Twitter the other day that they got copyright strike for posting a Dragon Ball Z Jiffy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a little ridiculous.
So clearly things are being ridiculous, and they're going to continue being ridiculous, and they're going to continue getting more and more ridiculous. Also, I've boosted your volume up because apparently you were a little low.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, just overall, it's like the stupidity of government rears its ugly head when they try to do things, it's such a slow way, and by trying to cover so many areas, it's like trying to get like there's an old term. It's like fire departments run via committee. So somebody calls, the local fire department, help, help, help! There's a fire burning, and the barn is on fire. And then that goes, okay, well, we're going to call an emergency session, which will take place tomorrow afternoon, where we will decide whether or not we wish to respond to this fire and how we want to respond to the fire. So the first thing that the committee does, of course, by the time the committee actually sits down, the fire's already destroyed the barn. Then they're like, first of all, we need to determine what we want to say. Well, wait, do we even want to say that we want to say that fires are bad? Well, of course we want to say that fires are bad. Well, perhaps we should have an announcement stating that we disagree with how fires are bad. No, no, no. We want to disagree with fires in general. No, 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 no. We don't want to disagree with fires in general because I like having fires around my, in my backyard. Yes, but what's the difference between a fire in your backyard and a fire in your backyard burning down your barn? Well, I don't really know. Let's commission a study to, come up with and by the time they actually come up to a resolution, I'm quite serious. This is like similar things have happened in the world of government. But by the time they commission this, the thing, like the whole town is burnt down, or it's just insane. And then their ultimate resolution is they come out and they're like, we are going to install we're going to flood the city to prevent fires. It's like they open up like the river dam and they just flood out the entire city, and like that's the solution that I feel that some government does. Like we all know, I hope, that government is one of the most useless and messy things that you could possibly want to deal with, and they're not even good at what they do. The only thing that they happen to be for the most part good at is giving control of the military to a bunch of military generals and saying, yeah, please don't screw this up too much. So there's that. So yeah, I think overall in this, I think most of us are in agreement because we don't work for the government, but pretty much everybody's in agreement that I really don't think that this is a good thing. I don't think this is a good thing for them. I don't think this is a good thing for Japanese culture as a whole. I think that what they've done is going to slow and damage the overall output of content, and that I wish that somebody smarter had been in the reins, but I don't think that's going to happen because, like I said, right now they're starting to strike memes. They're starting to strike just general stuff. Corporations are running hog wild with this. A lot of corporations that haven't for a very long time had the best interests of the actual artists at stake. Right now, they're clamoring to control something that has been growing in popularity just universally across the board, and so it's really shocking. Again, it's really shocking that that this is happening. So yeah, very sad. Um,
And I agree, Common Pants. Manga is stupid popular now, and it does seem to be beating Western comics by a mile. Uh, says actions like this just hurt the industry overall.
yeah,
And yes, the Islington girl is just a black screen. We're scrambling to get some pictures up. I've got some pictures of Luna to throw up there soon, shortly here.
yeah. We're trying to. I'm trying to get it set up, but I can't. It's hard to do it while at the same time of doing
While
this.
streaming at the same time.
While streaming at the same time, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So
that is a really good point, Islington girl. Western comics are heavily politicized now. Maybe manga isn't. There does manga has been around for freaking ever. Like I read so many different genres. It is kind of insane. So no. There's a lot of stories and topics that manga seems to touch that I never really felt as drawn to through the comic stuff. Of course there was all the hero stuff that came out and all the fantasy stuff that came out, but just I don't know, all the topics that I find through manga, it's been so crazy to read things and then see them come to life through the anime and animations and movies. Oh gosh, it's one of my favorite things, honestly. And all the games and interconnectedness and the community that gets built with that, man, I freaking love seeing cosplayers play, and it doesn't matter the level because I just see somebody make something that they like and they wear it and I love it. It's fantastic. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Discord, we'll post a lot of memes and a lot of creator stuff in there. And oh man, I really want to try to get my cosplay game up again because I've got the time to make stuff at home now.
right.
And then oh man, it's so exciting. Once I get everything in order, I've got some cool ideas in the future for some videos and whatnot regarding to cosplay. So excite. Look forward to that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to. It'd be nice to get some cool cosplay stuff.
Right, especially I love all the subject material and inspiration I can get from all these games and these stories that I like. And I agree, Bagheera. The thing that makes me prefer mangas to comics is that the art style doesn't change from one chapter to the next when the artist changes. Yes, it's very consistent. They have a very good system over there. Oh man, when I started drawing more in depth and getting to know the process a bit more, man, it takes a long time. And I see these artists that I followed for years. I follow a lot of webcomic artists and seeing their growth and seeing the consistency and especially when they go back and kind of clean everything up to make it more consistent and linear. Oh, it's so cool.
So okay, so I tried to share one of the pictures that you sent, and it did a zoom in of a tight corner of the photo.
Oh, no.
So the pictures that you're sending me are not proper to scale,
right
and they're also not cut for YouTube. They're vertical, so it's not working. It is not working. Like I said, we're burning down the studio today, and this is normal. This is totally fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. So yeah. All right. What's our next? So just to kind of put the cap on that, basically, it's what we're seeing and what we're going to be living through with this is going to cause a lot of problems. But hopefully there can be, hopefully they're going to be able to, fix it for the most part.
Hopefully, and hopefully I can still put out these cosplay videos. So I don't have anything that I can say right now as far as my cosplay choices, but I do have stuff where I want to build props. Atomic Stew. He says, I blame Ash. It's like he's gone out and left the kids a to-do list. A little bit. It feels a little bit like that. That's a good suggestion. Eilington Girl says, maybe put your title card up so it's not a void.
Yeah. We don't have access to the title card because, again, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like I was saying,
Oh dear.
it's like I'm trying to figure out how to get the title card, but I can't. Like, this is why we're supposed to get this sent to us, and oh yeah, so much fun. So yeah, it's yeah. I would love to get the title card up there if I could, but I can't find it right now in the options.
Like, oh, I could send you a cyberpunk screenshot. We can just hang out, chit chat there in the streets of Night City.
Yeah, and again, I would put up some game footage, but like all of the games that I currently have installed right now are heavily modified.
There we go.
Except for Baldur's Gate 3.
Go hang out.
And again, I'm having real issues with trying to like pull up the footage, like any pictures that you're sending me. They're all like maximized, like huge.
The last one I just sent you,
and then
one should be for that should be fine because I took a screenshot.
Yeah, no, it's I'm still just getting a zoom in of the roof on the top left corner.
Oh gosh.
So, like, I don't know what's going on. This is so much fun.
Oh yes, Void. Well, the cats are both black cats, so you can just pretend you're staring into the side of a Void loaf. Just wake up, there's Commander, bury my face in her side, be like, hello, good morning, my love. Yes, when you stare into the abyss, it stares back at you. Well, I would like to move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. It's
done it.
It's done it again. This is the best that I have. Is this zoomed in, hyper zoom in of some fur and a box. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here. I do not know why, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how to do this, or why this is doing this, or like the nearest I can figure is that like it's not zooming to scale and or like.
So we'll just pretend that we're lying on the floor of my living room staring at the chairs in the corner with the cat.
It's like why
what I was doing.
Like I really don't understand why this like why these options even exist. Like why would you even have this option to begin with? I just don't understand.
I was like, on another note, you see those little white things on the chair legs? Those are actually little cat socks.
Okay, not helpful at all. I've tried to pull up every photo, and every photo is like maximally like zoomed out so that it's like it's right now right now I think what it's going for is it's stretching it to like how it's like 1080p or I think it's going for like 2000 or 10,000. I think it's like 10,000 ratio right now. So it's zooming in every photo that you send me is just zooming in massively to a tiny little corner, or it's just zooming in to the black screen that's because the photo's not like a full screen photo. So it's zooming in on the blackness that is the corner of the thing. So this is super fun. I love dealing with this. Oh my god, this is just great.
I'm just picturing like this little like computer system avatar like just smashing this button, be like, I'm trying my best. I'm doing the thing. Oh my goodness. It's okay. We shall live. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about the games coming in 2020. So one of the first ones that's going to be released fairly soon on January 20th, Hitman 3.
Yeah, so Hitman 3, a lot of people are excited for this. I
Oh, sorry,
I
2021. Derp.
yeah,
My bad.
sorry, not 2020. We're talking 2021 games, 2021. I know I was talking with more than one person recently has been like, "Oh yeah, wait, I can't wait for this game, that game and all this kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Yes, yes, this is all looking, great. I like the generalized ideas. Um if you can start sending me these pictures without the the title, just like the picture from
Mm-hmm.
the picture, not the
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
okay. And then, yeah, no. So now this one is gone small. So yeah, and then try to like cut them for like actual like yeah, try to cut them for normal like YouTube screen size
Mm-hmm.
because I can't like
Okay.
the way that you're cutting it is not
Mm.
yeah, no, I can't fit this on the screen. So anyways,
Oh, I can see
great
it on there.
again. Again, having so much fun with this, and again, not having these pictures sent is so much fun. All right. So Ash is a big fan of this game, of this series, and he really, really enjoys it. I'm interested to see if they've, because with these games that it's the third or fourth, or I think this one's actually like a lot, like there's been more Hitman stuff released than just three. Um, with this, you have a lot of titles, and you have a lot of you have a lot of general like stuff that is basically it's on the it's walking this tightrope between having been a really you're walking a tightrope between it being a needing to stay the same but needing to be different. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It's like you need these games that have been, there's been many, many iterations of them out, and Tomb Raider
Mm-hmm.
is a great example. The Tomb Raider that we got in the past, the first ones, they were, great, popular, blocky character, craziness, and then you had that slowly progress to where we had the revamped series, and the first one comes out and it's like really decent. But then the most recent one comes out and it's not as popular. Why isn't it as popular? And I think that it just boils down to the fact that there's a lot of these games, uh, a lot of this stuff is there we go. All right, that's a little bit better for the picture. A lot of this stuff it boils down to like you have to evolve, but if you evolve too much, you leave. You aren't the game that people were expecting and hoping to see. If you change too much, you're going to lose your audience. But if you don't change enough, you also lose your audience because the latest Tomb Raider just didn't have that great of sales. And it didn't have that great of sales because everybody said the same thing, that it was basically the same as the last game. So clearly
Mm-hmm.
they weren't in it for the story. They were clearly in it for the mechanics and the exploration and the combat and all of that stuff. Because it didn't change, it was largely the same. The game didn't sell as many copies as it did. But then you get a different games that they change too much, or they don't they don't evolve in the right way, and then people are like, I don't like this game anymore because it doesn't play like I want it to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, um, like literally dealing with like insanity, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, this is going to get continually worse with certain titles because they don't know how to evolve. And so unfortunately we're going to see that with a lot of like our old favorite titles over the years. You know, they're just not going to evolve in the right way, and it makes it sad. And in this regard, it's like we see this problem with, you know, with some of our favorite titles, and I don't know if Cyberpunk fits in that, with not in the term of like being the game, but having been like what we were expecting to see from the studio. You know, was the studio did it do it properly, or has it like altered itself in the wrong way? So that's the difficulty of that. Is trying to figure that out. So anyways, now that we're finally starting to get the pictures like properly here.
Yes. Success.
So
there's a question from Islington Girl. Aren't all the Assassin's Creed games the same though?
Basically, like I mean, but again, is that something that we'll see? Like they've certainly evolved over the last few years. I would say that the last game became far more of a Grand Theft Auto game than what the original Hitman game was, at least to me, or at least what I think. And then you have the Magic Suitcases. I always loved those Magic Suitcases. The best one was you could kill a guy with a briefcase or briefcase. You could kill a guy with a briefcase, but if you waited until he got onto his jet ski and you hit it at the right time, he would throw the briefcase, and the briefcase would follow the guy as he jets off on his jet ski, on his Sea-Doo, and he'd be off doing this cool stuff, and you see this briefcase just flying through the air following him. And he goes, you know, he's like, you know, way out in the ocean. Then the first time he slows down, the briefcase hits him. And
oh gosh.
Yeah, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen as far as like a game bug. So yeah. So all right, next game is Mario. So we've got if I can pull this up properly. Nope.
It is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. And that one is slated for February 12th. Oh, that's super cute. Super Mario is definitely one of the games that I grew up playing a heck ton of on the old Super Nintendo. And like, it's been so interesting to see it evolve over the years. All the different spin-off games. Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
I'm the latest.
I'm looking. I think again, this is just a Switch game. It's not even. I think it's the Super Mario 3D World, which was on the Wii U, and it's been ported over to the Switch. So still something that's pretty big as far as like, you know. I think probably this will be pretty big because they've done some upgrades, I think, to it. So yeah, we'll see.
Yes, and I did notice that the pipe is clear, it's not green. So I was like, ooh, so I can like watch myself run through it. That's pretty cool.
So I don't know how many people are interested for that, but yeah, it's an interesting one.
I actually have a bunch of friends who like have a Switch, and one was trying to convince me to get one for a while there. But oh man, they really enjoy the playability with like other people.
Yeah. All right. So then the next one we've got is the Prince of Persia game, which is coming out.
And that's in March.
So this one is a
remake. It's getting a complete full 2021 do-over.
Now, the story is not supposed to change. It's just supposed to be a remake, which means improved graphics, that kind of stuff.
Pretty neat.
I don't know. I don't know if, like, so in certain remakes, what they do is they just upgrade the existing engine. I don't know if that's the case here. I kind of don't think it because it's a really, really old game. I think they probably maybe rebuilt it, but
Yeah,
it's
this here originally PlayStation 2,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So like what, and this is the thing that you always get with when you hear the word remake.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just a graphical upgrade? Because there are some games that they take the old engine and they just take the old graphics and they just take the old models and they just increase the polygon count in them, and then that's it. And then they're like, "Hey, it's a remake." Um, or is it, some people call that a quote unquote an upgrade, right? And this is what we're hearing with the Mass Effect series. The new Mass Effect series coming out is going to be featuring, for the last two games, so for Mass Effect 2 and 3, it's just basically just a graphical upgrade. They've not changed the engine at all. It's the same game, quite literally in the code and everything. It's pretty much the exact same thing, just with higher graphical fidelity count, and then that's it. Whereas like the first game, they've had to go in and kind of rebuild some of the combat, and they've tried to port that over to a new engine. So exactly how that works, I don't know, and we haven't seen that come out yet. So we'll see obviously when it gets a little closer to the day. I'm hoping that Prince of Persia does well because it was a pretty decent game at the time. But again, I don't know whether or not that's going to be enough, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on to the next one, which I'm going to try and get up on the screen.
So next one, also slated for March, but closer to the end of the month, is Monster Hunter Rise. A bunch
Yeah.
of the people on the Discord have been playing that, and oh my gosh!
So, I mean, the Monster Hunter game, I mean, it's been doing really, really well. And it seems to be a pretty good party game that you can kind of come in, drop in, do content for, and then, walk away from. A little less like WoW, where WoW takes a little bit more like commitment to stick around, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of like all over the place right now.
It's a bit, yeah. No, I definitely have to get back into WoW as well. But it's pretty great. It seems like it's such a giant world with so many beasts you can go after, go check out and explore. So yeah.
And I am behind in reading the live chat. I'm trying to do all this stuff like crazy.
That's great.
Atomic Stew mentions probably one of the greatest games. So Islington Girl, yes, you're definitely in before the Prince of Persia is problematic. I'm sure it's going to be vastly problematic, and I'm sure it's gonna hit that wall. Yeah, I believe Monster Hunter Rise will be on PC. Yeah, Kisuke. But Elden Ring, yeah, we haven't gotten to that one yet. I don't even know if it's on the list right now or not.
I didn't see it on the list. No.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't know if we can judge Elden Ring. Like a lot of these newer games, it's like I don't know if we can judge them, until we actually get our hands on them.
That's true.
But Atomic Stew in the chat mentions probably one of the greatest games of 2021, and that'll be Subverse. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Super super awesome game that everybody will be playing and nobody will admit to. Oh yeah, I heard a friend of mine picked a friend of a friend of mine picked up that game. Yes, it's totally a friend of a friend of a friend. That I heard that it was a really good game from.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
It's what happened to just talking about stuff that you like.
Right. So.
Yeah. So yeah, then we have after
We have Deathloop.
Monster Hunter. we have Deathloop and coming out in May. This one looks really cool, actually. So this one is coming from Arcane Studios, and actually, the premise of it seems pretty neat. So you're an assassin trapped in a time loop, and I was just like, this is a different kind of story. I have not seen something like this. Like it makes me think a little bit of Assassin's Creed, but it's like, but you're stuck in like a loop. So like, if you already know that, how do you deal with that, right? So yes, this one does look like it's going to be hitting the PlayStation 5 though, with an Xbox version coming out probably the next year. Either way, this will be interesting to see. The style looks really interesting. It's kind of like well, the graphics that I'm looking at here is kind of like a watercolor almost. Like it looks like a painting. So I'm just like, ooh, does this mean we'll get like a similar style through the gameplay or like what? Because
No, no, it's a regular first person shooter,
okay.
I believe. It's pretty normal. The story behind this one is what I've been interested in seeing, because so this is Arcane Studios,
Yep.
and I'm really interested to see where exactly they're taking this, and it will probably, yeah. So this is one of these, yeah. This is a really weird one. Because we don't know very much other than what they put out in the first trailer. And, I mean, I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to call it that these two are like family, and they don't know that they're family. They just know that they're trying to like end the time loop or something like that. And, they've been in the time loop for so long that they've forgotten that they are family. So
Gasp.
it's going to be like I said, it's going to be a really weird one, honestly. Why is this opening? Oh my lord. Why?
Magic Suitcase. Oh yeah, totally notional. Butterfly assassin effect. Definitely those vibes there.
Yeah, so, and I mean, I think it can do well. Just needs to, like, actually be able to, do it right. And then I think then I think we'll have something, decent. So. So, all right, I'm having issue again. I am having so many wonderful issues here today. It wants to save it as a web PD. Why is it saving it as a web PD? All right, well, Lego Star Wars Lego Star Wars doesn't get its own picture because for some odd reason it wants to. Okay, all of these we just want to save as a web. All right. I'm having so much fun with this stuff. So, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga looks interesting. That'll be out sometime this year, most likely. I think this is going to, for those of you who are Star Wars fans and for those of you who are Luke fans, I think this will help. Honestly, I think this will help the I think they're going to end up focusing a little bit more on Luke and Vader, and I think this is where the audience wants this to be focused in on. So, yeah, it would be interesting. Next one's Far Cry 6, sometime in 2021, maybe. This one's going to be featuring a bit of a different take on the story than it has before, or at least it's promising to. So yeah, interesting, very interesting. We'll see where that goes. Sometime in 2021, we're also going to be getting the supposedly going to be getting Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which we already kind of talked about. Basically, this game is going to be this game is going to be trying to offer a unique touch on the Mass Effect by having all of the games together. Now, in a proper remaster, the way that I would do it is you would have the entire game be able to play all three games from beginning to end and all of their side content, and on a single save, just kind of like processing yourself through the experience, and it would all be intermingled so that you wouldn't actually have to like stop playing, one and then switch over to two. It would just naturally happen in the story, and that there would be extra stuff kind of like padding the differences. That I think would be good. I don't know if just having a straight up like, fancy remaster is actually worth it or not, because again, this isn't a remake, this isn't a reimagining, this isn't taking taking the old game and then revamping it to make it more fitting in with tech and stuff today. This is basically just a remaster, which means that you're going to get a new coat of paint and they're going to sell it to you for $200. Great. I was talking with Polly's about a game that was coming out, soon, and we were looking at it. It's got a beta coming out in February, and I was like, I don't know if this game is going to be good. And I looked on their, was looking at the overall like, monetization of it. It's like, oh yeah, we're not going to have any like, we're not going to have microtransactions. No, that's right. In the sense of, yeah, they don't have microtransactions. They have major transactions. I don't know how else to say it. Their first DLC pack costs as much as the original game does. The original game costs like $80. The first DLC pack costs $80. Yeah,
Jeez.
That's not a microtransaction. That's a major transaction. Like, okay, great. This is where we're going with this now. This is perfect. Yeah, horribly disappointed with the way that one's going. So yeah, Polly's is probably going to avoid that one now.
Yeah, probably.
They've been having some issues with. I did have somebody get back to me and said that, yeah, they're having some developmental issues right now. So they're basically going to come out with the game, and then they're going to come out with this $80 DLC pack, and they're just hoping that a bunch of people, drop $160 on the game, and then that's it, right? Like I don't know how much that they have planned after that, but it may not be very much at all. So, yeah, really interesting. All right, and again, I'm sorry I can't get any more of these pictures up. Whenever I try to, it doesn't download it as an actual picture. It downloads it as a web app, which I can't show. So it's like having so much fun being frustrated by this stupid tech today. All right, Gran Turismo 7's coming out. Is it weird that I sometimes forget that racing games are still a thing?
That's okay. Honestly, racing games are not really on my radar either, but like I do have some friends who are like really into cars and really like driving, so there is that.
All right, and then we've got Halo Infinite, supposedly coming out, but they said it's been delayed till fall, and there's still a chance that it may be delayed even further. And again, I hope their marketing team figures out what the hell they're doing, because I can't. It's been absolutely stunning to see how they've really dropped the ball on the marketing for this so far. It's like, guys, what are you doing? Like really, take a minute and think properly about this. Come up with a coherent strategy focusing on the good stuff of the game. It's like they came out and they showcased their worst feature in the game because, again, that's what they were told people wanted to see. It's like, just horrible. We've got Lord of the Rings, Golem, is coming out sometime, hopefully this year. This is an interesting one because you're going to actually play as Golem.
I love it.
And you're going to have to play as like a stealthy, cunning character. So for those of you who've been wanting another thief game, I think this might actually be your best opportunity at a thief game. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if you want to play I don't know how many people are interested in playing as a little naked guy with a loincloth, but skulking around in the shadows. But could be option. Could be. I can't wait for all the articles to come out and say his armor's so impractical. Oh my god, it's so how's that gonna stop a blade? It's like okay. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out. This is the actual sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Hopefully we'll see again this tell a decent story, and hopefully it'll come out on PC at some point, because right now it is only slated for the PlayStation. Same with the next game, which is the sequel to God of War Ragnarok. So, yay! More sequels. So Ragnarok, interesting. Again, I'm kind of interested in seeing where the game kind of goes, and I like Christopher Judd. I think he's probably one of the best actors I've ever met. Super nice dude, like genuinely nice guy, and he's also really, really he doesn't have that many big comedy roles, but of his comedy roles, the guy is a genius. I mean, I don't know why he hasn't gotten more comedy stuff, but the guy is really funny. He was in this very small indie film that one of his co-stars put together over a weekend, called A Dog's Breakfast, and he had this 5-minute cameo in it. It's hilarious. One of the best scenes I've ever seen. Super cringy, but also funny cringy at the same time. So yeah, check that out. That whole movie is based on cringe, basically, but the funny kind of way. It's definitely a comedy. It's not a ha comedy. It's like a oh, that isn't that smart, cringe comedy. So that's kind of funny. Then probably one of the games that I'm actually looking forward to, because if they do this right, I think it'll be really, really solid. But I am not crossing my fingers. Well, I'm crossing my fingers, but I'm not betting on this one being good. I'm betting on this one probably being really terrible, and that's Hogwarts Legacy. So Hogwarts Legacy, probably sometime in 2021, maybe delayed to 2022. It takes place in the 1800s. From what I've heard and from some of the leaks that have come out, it looks really solid. But we've said that about other games, and recently we've been disappointed with so much. So it's I'm not holding my breath. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it's good, and then maybe have something that's actually decent. Yeah, because it's I really hope that they do this one well. I really want them to do this one well. It's just got so much. It's such a good potential to do well, but it's also got a lot of potential to just take a doo doo dump all over your childhood too. So yeah. So bear that in mind. I would really just for now, I would just kind of sit back and say, all right, well, again, we're not holding our breath, but we're crossing our fingers, and hopefully it'll be decent. Ashton, I'll get to your question here soon. Resident Evil Village is the last one that's on the list that has been said. Again, all of these games are games that they've said is confirmed basically for the 2021 window. Probably a lot of these aren't going to come out until the fall. I don't expect a lot of them until the fall, and the ones that haven't been given a release date. So Resident Evil Village, looking interesting. We'll see how it flies, how they're able to build it. It's coming out to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and the PC, as well as all the old consoles. At some point, they got to stop supporting these old consoles with these new releases. I don't understand why they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like for games that potentially aren't coming out until 2022, because again, all of these last games since we talked about Deathloop, all of these games have a significant possibility of not coming out at all for the next foreseeable future. Like for the next, and when I say foreseeable future, I mean for as long as this whole like world situation is going on, and for as long as like, you know, the up in the air, like people don't have access to new consoles, that kind of stuff. Like all this stuff is up in the air. Some of these games might not come out until 2022. And why they're still promising a lot of these games to be coming out on all of the consoles makes me a little worried, because when you have a console generation that comes out, and then you have people trying to make a game for the 10-year-old, 11-year-old consoles, that is a big problem. At what point are you just holding back the game from actually being able to incorporate a bunch of stuff just because it can't run on a 12, at this point will be a 12-year-old console? Like, again, because we're not talking about stuff that is guaranteed to come out this year. We're talking about stuff that's potentially not coming out until next year. So, like, and again, next year, not 2021, 2022 at this point. That's what next year is. So this crazy. I don't know why they're still doing it. I'm really concerned over some of these titles and how they're like, oh yes, we guarantee that it'll be on the PlayStation 4. Well, the PlayStation 4 base model is a pile of junk at this point. I mean, my cell phone runs games better than that thing does. So I am very concerned, and it's very concerning that some of these studios are still going for that. So, what's some of the other games that are coming out this year that you know we know for sure we're going to get stuff on? So this is where Ashton was asking for. Ashton's asking about Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is quite possibly one of the best games I can think of off the top of my head. It is genuinely a great game so far. It's in very early beta. It's looking absolutely amazing. And I've got to say that just generally, this is my most anticipated title for this year, essentially. And that basically boils down to the fact that the game has done so well fulfilling its audience, and also Sev, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sev's pretty much a genius when it comes to his honest marketing. And you really see this in the way that that the game is received by people. You know, just in general, it's like it's been doing really well, and I think that it'll continue to do really, really well into the future. So just trying to get this thing up here, because apparently I can't function it, like can't do anything with computers today. It's so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
All right, there we go. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so Baldur's Gate 3. This is probably going to be my game of 2021, game of the year. Probably because, again, they've been approaching it like really smartly. Some people don't like, you know, where they release a game in a beta state and then they work on the beta. But and normally I would disagree. And I was not on board with this concept because I don't like pay to beta, right? Which is really what happens in a lot of these games, especially MMOs. Like, oh, give us $100 and we'll give you access to the game, and then you discover that the game's like, you know, barely there, it's falling apart, and you're just paying to play the beta, basically. and you do that for a really long time. Now, I'm not a fan of that normally. However, I've got to say that in regards of how they did this with Divinity Original Sin 2, I've got to say that won me over for their studio doing it this way. Again, I'm not a fan of all studios doing it this way, but I'm a fan of them doing it this way, because what they did was basically monthly updates where they added to the game, tweaked things within the game, found that good balance, found that way that people were enjoying the game, gave them the abilities and the tools to make the game better and better themselves, as well as tacking on things every month, adding more content, adding more story. Then they go dark for a couple months, and then they release the whole package as a released piece of content. There were some issues with Act 2 and Act 3 and Act 4. In that, there was a little bit of difficulty in playing, or there was a little bit of bugginess in the final act of the game. They came out and released the director's cut a little bit later, and that improved a lot of things. They gave that away for free, by the way, or at least they did for me. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they gave it away for free for everybody who had the game. I don't think we're going to be getting Act 2 separate from the rest of the game. I think what they're going to do is they're giving us Act 1, and they're keeping us in Act 1 until the game is ready to be released. That is where I believe they're going, and where I believe they're headed. Again, is this what everybody wants? I don't know. I don't know if this is what absolutely everybody wants. But this is definitely like on the list of things that are digressing. Act 1 will be improved all the way up until release. Then we'll probably get the whole game release. We're expecting a big update here, probably in January or February. I think it's probably going to come out like late January, but it may not come out until like mid-February. That's fine too, because they did a huge release right early December. So late January seems to make sense for me. But if they needed to delay it, I mean, I can understand that, because holidays and things have been crazy. I don't know if you know this, but things have been crazy recently. So I'm hoping that they're able to get this out to us in January, because it'd be much better to see like the new story, some of the new characters, some of the advances in the story. They are adding more stuff. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't made it to the game yet. There's a lot of encounters. There's a lot of characters that aren't there. There's also a lot of classes, obviously. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes from here.
Yes.
Definitely my most favorite game of 2021 so far. Now the next game that we're going to talk about, which I'm trying to get this up here. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to pull this up here. Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up, but I can't find a good picture to pull it up with. So I'm just grabbing a new one. All right. All right. So, yeah, like I said, really happy with the overall the way. And again, I don't agree that this should be done the same way for every other studio. I really don't like how some studios take this concept of like, oh yeah, we're going to be in beta forever. We're going to be in beta forever. It's going to be great, guys. It's going to be great. Aren't you so excited? Now I have to fix this because a stupid thing is zooming in again. But I really want to get this out there. So, okay, here we go. Mm-hmm. It's now on the screen. Ghostwire Tokyo. Where is this game and what's going on? Is it in development hell? No, I really don't think so. I've reached out to some people. Of course, one of the leaders left. I think she left because she saw the writing on the wall as far as the merger goes, and she may not necessarily have liked that, or she got a really, really good offer somewhere else. But as far as I've heard, the game is still coming along fine. And the reason why we haven't heard about anything is because of this thing called Fallout 76, where basically the game wasn't ready to be shipped. It shipped way too early, probably almost 2 years before it should have been shipped, and just didn't ship with the right content, didn't follow through with what people were looking for. So Bethesda has shut their mouth and has stopped talking about games in general. And I think they're going to continue doing this for the foreseeable future. I think they're not going to talk about games until they think they're far closer to being ready. And now that they're with Microsoft, that's the other kind of key in this whole situation, is that these games, all of these games, they stopped talking about them as soon as the talks about the merger started. As soon as the talks about, not merger, but buyout. As soon as the talks started about the buyout, that's where we saw everything just suddenly go silent. And I think that they're still keeping silent on it because they're still like everything is still being finalized. There's some handful of stuff still yet to do. And so while this process is going on, I think you have Microsoft who's looking and saying, don't talk about any new games. We kind of messed things up with the Halo thing. So right now we need to make sure that everything's on set and that these games are actually ready before we actually start to talk about them. And so I think what we're going to get is we're going to see these games advertised literally about like between a month and 3 months to release, and then that's it. We're not going to be getting any more. I really don't think we're going to be getting any more of these sneak peeks or like trailers from content that's like years away. One of the big things that hurt Cyberpunk was the fact that they showcased a bunch of quests that are not the same as they are today and don't take place in the same place as they did before. Because what that gives the people who hate your game is that, and people who don't pay attention to this stuff every day like crazy because they're it's part of their job, is that they missed out on the fact that a lot of this stuff was changed and the original stuff, the original concept, the original quest locations, it was removed within the game, therefore creating this like contrast ability where you take the contrast, you showcase one contrast to the other of like what was shown and then what you have today, and they're very different. And the minute that initial showcase appears to be less cool than the original thing that you've got, people lose their minds and they blow a gasket. So I don't think they want to do that, and I think that most companies are looking at that going, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Like, I don't think you're going to have the level of openness in gaming that we've had up to this point. And there's a lot of studios who are basically essentially going to lay off their PR person because why do they need a PR person when they're just going to hire them to do it for like 3 months? So and is that a good thing? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But so the story with Ghostwire, I think the story is good. I think the story concepts are good. I think the story concepts and the concept of gameplay, I think that's kind of cool, and I'm hoping that we can see this game do really, really well. Do I think it's in development hell? I don't think so, because I think where they are is that they got into that buyout and they were like, all right, everybody close up, don't like not close up shop, but like close your mouths, don't talk about anything, because this is gonna be big. And they're also like gauging the market right now. Right now, Japan, not happy with PlayStation at all. Not happy with PlayStation at all. Not in the slightest. They are really upset with them. They are really, really, really upset with them. And I do not blame them. I can't blame them. This is horrendous. So some numbers have been put out recently. They have barely sold more copies of the PlayStation 5 than they did of the original PlayStation 3 and the GameCube. Let that sink in, guys. For the people who have been like, super on the back of like, oh no, it's fine. Everything is fine. Nothing's burning. Everything is fine.
Wow.
They have sold less than half of the number of units that they sold for the PS4.
Gee.
Now, some people are saying, oh, that's because of supply and demand. You know the one place that you can walk into a store and pick up a PS5 in the world? The one place that you can walk into a store, say, hi, do you have a PS5? Yes, sir, we do. Here is your PS5. Thank you. I will now pay you for this PS5, and I will now walk out the door with my PS5. You know, one of the only places you can do that in the world is Japan. So don't tell me that that everything is fine when they can't even, like, the rest of the world. You can't, like these people are buying this stuff up. These auction house snipers and bots. They're buying the game, and then they're buying the console, and then they're swapping it, flipping it on eBay for an extra $1,000 profit. First of all, why are you spending $2,000 on a bloody console? Like,
my goodness.
Why? Like, you could buy a brand new computer for that would run the games like there's no super special games on the PlayStation right now. Like I mean, there's a few, but like, really? It's mind-boggling. Also, I wanted to talk about this the other day, but right now there are people who are buying who are selling the boxes for the PlayStation 4 for $700-800.
Gosh.
On eBay, they're saying box only, does not contain console, and they're showing the picture of the PlayStation 4 box. You know how many people are bidding on those things? One of them sold for $800 yesterday. I'm like, it's just the box. It says it right in the title. Box only, not console. What is going on? Like, really? Wow.
Right.
So anyways, right now PlayStation not doing well in Japan. And I think, Ghostwire, I think, was originally going to be a PlayStation exclusive. But right now, I don't know. I don't know where that's going. I don't know. It's really weird. So why is Japan not buying the console? Why are they upset with it? Well, for starters, they're upset with it because they've turned their back on a lot of the smaller indie studios that make games in Japan, that have been making games in Japan since the original PS1 days. These are very small studios that make very niche games. They don't have a huge market. They don't have a huge audience. They're making games. They make a comfortable living off of it, and they've been doing it for 5 generations of the console now. And then suddenly, in the last 8 months, or last year for some of them, it started about a year and a half ago for some, they just started being told, sorry, no, you can't release this game. We don't want you to have this game. We don't want you to release this game. We're not going to tell you what you're doing wrong. We're not going to tell you what's changed. Things have changed, and we're ignoring you. This has been really coming back to hurt PlayStation. And again, this is PlayStation hurting their users, hurting their consumers. This isn't me hating on PlayStation. I have a Sony phone. I have I was a very big fan of what they did, at the beginning of the PlayStation 4 generation launch, and Microsoft was stabbing themselves in the stomach over and over and over again, spitting on their users. Like that speech that one guy gave, where he's like, "Oh, if you can't have an internet, if you don't have access to steady internet, then this really isn't the console for you."
Wow.
And that was stupid, callous, ignorant, just absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid that the guy would say this on a live interview. Like, what is wrong with you? So I really liked what they were doing then, but power tends to corrupt people, and absolute power tends to corrupt people very, very quickly. So I've got to say that looking at this scenario, looking at the situation, I think a lot of Japanese they see the studio as having abandoned Japan and having abandoned the original content creators. And a lot of them are going, you know what? There's this whole big world on PC, and they've been moving to PC. PC sales are through the roof. You can walk into a big gaming box store in Japan and pick up a PlayStation 5 right now if you wanted to. If you go there and say, I want to pick up a PC, you've got to wait. And more people are on that wait list than there are people coming in and picking up that PlayStation. So, big changes going on. So this is why I think Ghostwire has also been not talked about. I think that this is why they've been keeping it under wraps. We've been hearing that Microsoft is in talks to buy out a major Japanese studio, or a family of studios. What this means, and perhaps what they're waiting for, is they're waiting to get a bunch of these things lined up, get their merger, get their buyouts ready, set everything up, and then at some point this year maybe, Microsoft does this huge advertising blitz in Japan. Massive advertising blitz in Japan. We've just bought out, this gigantic Japanese studio. We have a new Japanese head office in Japan where we are here to stay, we are here to serve you, we are here to give you your stuff, and these departments are being led by Japanese people who have loved and been involved in gaming for decades. And these people are now our head people in Japan, and they are the ones who are checking the boxes for the stuff that's coming out of Japan. If they do that, and then they say, oh, also, Ghostwire is exclusive on Xbox, and it's going to be like this really super amazing game, I suspect that you will have record sales of Xboxes in Japan. If they do this right, if they set this all up just perfectly, then and if they come out and say that we're not censoring, this is the big one. This is the big one. And this is why Steam in Japan has been going through the roof. Because Japanese do not like censorship. I know it's kind of weird because the government is really, really for it. One of the most censor-heavy governments in the entire world. One of the largest, these people censored, they censored stuff into the ground so much that they created an industry that revolved around, creating things that were outside of that censorship rule by doing things that were absolutely bizarre. If you ever wanted to know where the original concept of the stuff that's kind of like anime, but it's not for kids, it's for only adults. If you ever wanted to know where and how that became what it is, and how it established what it is, and how most of that was done to get around the censors, and then how that exploded and is now it's now 5% of their entire GDP. Not the anime stuff, just the other stuff. Just the other stuff is 5% of their entire GDP.
Wow.
So yeah. Things are moving.
Yep.
Things are really, really moving. And again, if Microsoft is smart, they will say, we are not going to treat your cultural identity like garbage. We are going to respect your cultural identity, and we are going to stand up for what you believe is what your cultural identity is. We're going to stand up for that. And there's a big push right now because there's been a lot of because of the Olympic Games, there's been a lot of people who are pushing for more censorship in Japan ahead of the Olympic Games. And they're wanting to go to places like am I saying this right? Akihabara? Akihabara. It's this big place where you can buy all the it's like a weeb's heaven. And there's they've got big posters and gigantic building size billboards of things that are a little bit on the lewd side by a little bit.
I found a Lolita shop there. It was great.
Yeah, so there's been pushes for that, and the community, the average Japanese person is actually pushing against this, because you have two groups of people who are pushing against this. The first group is the people who use, maintain, and like it, and they're saying, "Don't you dare." Then you have the group of people who are intelligent, who sit back and say, "Hang on, remember when we tried this whole censorship thing before? You remember how far that got? You remember how well that? You remember what happened when we did that? We now have this thing that's 5% of our GDP. I don't like it, but do not try to censor it. Just stop. Just stop it. No, don't do that." And that's what I think is going on here. That there's a bunch of people that are now starting to push back against this more and more and more, and that is why Steam has been taking off like crazy, because Steam has made the promise that we won't censor anything. If you want a game where a werewolf licks a girl's backside, look, whatever, right? Like it's in the adult section. If you want it, it's there. We're not going to tell you what you can or cannot consume. It's not on us to do that, unless it's blatant thieving or a blatant troll, or just, it's blatant just garbage, like, whatever. And I mean, I think that's probably the smart thing to do, because then culture kind of like fits itself into what it is, instead of like becoming this weird thing that's being trying to be controlled by a bunch of people who honestly shouldn't these people should not be trying to control anything, because they're just terrible at it. So anyway, so that's the logical sense. You have two groups: the more what you might call conservative, and the more like what you might call I wouldn't say conservative, actually, like traditionalist is probably the better kind of like concept. And then the people who actually enjoy it, they're on the same side. They're like, don't censor this stuff, because you're only going to give it a bigger voice. You're only going to help it get out. If you want to kill an idea, what the last thing you want to do is create a martyr for it. And the last thing you want to do is try and suppress it, because whenever you tell somebody is like, "Oh, hey, there's something cool over there, but we're censoring it right now, so don't go over there." It's like, if you stand on a street corner, I think they did this test once. If you stand on a street corner and you're just there with a big megaphone and like yelling at people, like, whatever you do, don't walk down that alley. I don't want you to go down that alley. And somebody will say, "What's down the alley?" Like, nothing. It's nothing. There's nothing good down that alley. Don't go down that alley. People will go down that alley.
Yep.
So that's just that is the human condition. So
human condition of don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, basically, right? So yeah, that's where we're at with Ghostwire and the whole Sony thing and all of that stuff. That was a significant detour. And again, I've talked a lot about this, but again, it's like I want to showcase this, because it's getting more and more relevant every day.
Really
and it's getting more and more in your face every day, and the situations and stuff that's going on, it's just going to keep on, it's just going to keep growing. So we're going to see where that takes us, in the realm of that. One last game to talk about, same company. We're going to talk about Starfield. So Starfield, where is Starfield? How is it doing? What is going on? What is happening with it? And how good is the game going to be? And for the people who dislike Bethesda, I've got some bad news for you. This is going to be one of the best games of the year. Why is it one of the best games of the year? What? How could Starfield from Bethesda be one of the best games of the year? Surely you're joking. No, I'm not. From where they were in comparison to other games that they've released in the past, they're already into their final DLC production. So what do I mean? If this had been, swapped with Skyrim, this game would have been out already in their development cycle of this game. It would have been out probably a year ago, probably almost 2 years ago, probably about 16 to 18 months ago, this game would have dropped. It would have been very buggy, and it would have been not had a lot of features, and the DLC and all of the fixes and all of the patches coming out would have eventually have fixed this, and would have eventually have put this out and made this game far more accessible. Right now, because of the buyout, because of all this stuff we just talked about with Ghostwire, they have been sitting on the game, not talking about it, not releasing it, just working on improving it and making DLC.
Dustin's asking, isn't Starfield Todd's baby and personal project?
Yeah, it is. And so he's got a vested interest to make sure that this game is the best version that he can get put out. That it's the best game that he can put out. Because this is what people live for. I would almost kill. Because again, I don't. I would almost kill. Oh, poor doggo. I would almost kill to get my story made into a full-fledged gamer show or something like that in the perfect way that I would want it to be.
This is true.
I live for this right now. Like this is it's not the only thing that wakes me up in the morning, but it is something that significantly helps me wake up in the morning, is writing this story that is and we're going through rewrites right now. So for any of you guys that were reading it, things have changed immensely. It's gotten so much better, so much easier to read. Just massive improvements. First draft to second draft is night and day in the whole like smoothness of it. So that's going on right now. I understand that Todd does not want this thing to fail. This is, I mean, his job is on the line with this release. If this release comes off as another 76, he's basically out. But if this game comes out as anything but a 76, then if it comes out as a good game, then he's basically cemented his position, and he basically write a check for his next promotion, or his next his next pay raise. If this game becomes one of the games of the next 10 years, and is is the game to play for the next few years, I mean, that's his dream. That's what he wants. He wants that more than anything else. I can tell you, because because being a creator, you want people to play your content. You want people to be happy with your content. I don't know if the whole genre is right. I really worry that the genre may not be the best choice. But we'll see. I haven't seen the game. This is one of the games that I have absolutely. I've talked before about how I have a lot of friends in a lot of studios. I have a lot of connections with a lot of people making both, AAA games and small, tiny indie games. Really, really tiny indie games that are just, they're not commonly found. I have a lot of connections to a lot of places. Bethesda is one of the few places that I have zero connections at. And it's because they run a very, very tight ship there. And they're not people who talk there. With all the problems of 76, you could not get an expose level that people have done it at other companies. And part of that is due to the fact that they run a small studio. They grow very slowly. They grow very closely. And a lot of those people, I mean, I did hear a rumor once that over 30 or 40 of them go to the same church. Wow. So that's how close they are together, is that they're working beside each other, and then on the weekend they're going to the same house of worship.
Essentially live and breathe together practically. Right?
And when you're that close, you're not going to be talking about stuff. I mean, I talk with a lot of devs because sometimes they owe me favors, sometimes we're just friends and buddies, sometimes I've help them get their head of the curve achievement and something, maybe. And it's this is normal. This is totally normal in the world of interconnected developers. We play games, we connect with each other, we do stuff together. That's
Interpersonal relationships.
yeah, and that's totally normal. And so you chat about stuff and you talk about stuff, and we try to be as respectful as we can. We never try to hurt a place with our leaks. We do not do hit pieces or smears. And the dog, poor doggo. It's okay, puppy. I'm coming. I know she really wants us to wrap up here, because she wants to go for walkies. So yeah, Starfield has a lot of potential. They have a very tight ship that is full of people who really respect each other and they respect the boss. Despite the problems, yes, despite 76, 76 wasn't really, again, I've said this before, 76 wasn't really, that wasn't headlined by Bethesda Maryland. They had a lot of people who were working on it, but only because they were the only ones who could, while other people were catching up on the game code at these other studios. Now it's out of their hands. It's been out of their hands since before it released. And they didn't think that it was the right time to release, but, that wasn't their call. And a lot of people don't know this. That I can tell you for sure, because that I know for sure. Bethesda was not involved in the full-on creation of 76. They were a support studio. They were the main support studio for a while, then it moved out of their hands, and then it was into other people's hands. Todd did not have the ability to cancel that game or to put it back into, give it more time, get better access. He did not have the power at that time to do so. He's got a lot more power there because the people that were in charge of that, well, they dropped the ball so badly, right? So there's that. Is Starfield going to be good? I think it's going to be one of the best games that we've seen come out from the studio. Is it going to be good? Well, that depends on the setting, the world, the story, and how the game meshes with people. If it's what I think it is, I don't think it has that much room to grow. I think it'll be popular. I think it'll be good. I think people will be generally impressed with it. But I don't think people will really fall in love with it like they did the Elder Scrolls, because sci-fi, realistic sci-fi, isn't popular in the same way as fantasy. It's really just not as popular. And that's, I think, what we're getting, but that is based entirely off of just rumor and speculation. Okay, it could be a true sci-fi more akin to Star Trek, or more akin to Mass Effect. I don't know, because again, this studio is impossible to get anything out of as far as leaks go. Like, they're really, like, other than like the most leaks that come out of Bethesda and Bethesda related games are leaks that are legal in origin, meaning that they're filed a trademark and they filed access to certain tech, right? And that's where the majority of their leaks come from. The majority of their leaks do not come from people talking about the project when they're working on the project. So those legal leaks are not really leaks. That's just publicly available information if you know where to look for it. And that's like trademark stuff and that kind of stuff. And we do that all the time. I mean, tons of creators anybody can just peruse and just start looking for trademark stuff. And you can see who's filing what, and you go, oh, well, big gaming company just filed the trademark for a name. I bet you that name is going to be the name of their new project that they're working on. So, and that's part of the problem with Starfield is like, we just, like, all we're getting is like names and stuff. We don't actually have anything solid about the actual game yet. And even stuff that has come out, I've heard that those leaks were basically attached to somebody's like private drive of like upload stuff attached to like some like social media site, and it accidentally just got shared, and that's how that stuff got out. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I heard. And really that was only like 3 pictures, and there could be an argument made for they leaked it themselves, because it came out at about the right time to like give them a solid boost in like, oh, look at what they're working on. Ooh, look at this stuff. And what they were doing with that is that when you leak something intentionally, you're like pass it off to somebody, or you just leave it on a drive somewhere, or like in a public space, and people can find it and connect to it. When that happens, when you do it intentionally, you get to gauge where the interest of the community is at and what what they're talking about without actually having to commit to anything. So there's a lot of companies that use leaks to gauge public interest in stuff. It's like when, I mean, well, it's the exact same thing when a company leaks info about a brand that they're going to bring out. You think they leaked that stuff by accident? No, it was intentional. It was intentional so that they knew exactly what the community was looking at. So, so that really does depend on a lot of stuff. So it's a wait and see. I encourage everybody to wait and see because, again, as I mentioned, the one thing that I assume that I'm assuming with the game that is from just stuff that I've been able to hear and things, it's a realistic sci-fi. If it's a realistic sci-fi, that game is not going to be for everybody. In fact, I worry about the game being not very good because it's just something that's just not for everybody. And is that going to be, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. We'll see. It could be that it's a slow burn, meaning that it comes out and like 5 years later, people are still playing it in massive numbers, right?
True.
And so that's what we'll see. Are we going to see another 76 come out of Bethesda? I really don't think we're ever going to see another 76 come out from Bethesda, as in like a game that was completely unpolished, had no vision, was just all over the place, was just basically a poor man's ripoff of something else that was clearly supposed to be a mod for Fallout 4, or not a mod, a DLC for Fallout 4. For a long time, that was what it was supposed to be. It was just supposed to be a multiplayer game for Fallout 4. Mode, not game. Just a mode for Fallout 4 that you could play with friends and you just putz around and do random stuff in. It was not supposed to be canon. It was not supposed to be any of that. But then somebody got it in their head. Hey, let's make a whole world where there's no NPCs. Who made that decision? I can't tell you for sure who made that decision, but from what I've heard, it was not anybody at Bethesda. From what I heard, it was a bunch of people that were telling the big boss at ZeniMax what people wanted, and trying to convince them that was the way to take this thing, and then he pushed it out of the door way too soon. Again, probably not the best idea, obviously. Probably one of the worst ideas business-wise that they ever made. An absolute travesty, 100%. And that's why you should wait, and you shouldn't pre-order Starfield. But you should give it an honest look when it comes out. I don't think it'll be for everybody because of the type of genre that it is, and that is a very small niche genre. I really think it is, and I am honestly surprised that they're doing it. Again, that is if it is what I think it is. If it's not, if it's more like Mass Effect, if it's more like, if it's more like actiony, and that it may be a much better game concept. It might be a really good idea, or it might shock me entirely. I don't know. I never thought when I first saw Minecraft, I was like, that's gonna be a flash in the pan. It's gonna be gone in a. I was wrong about that. Oh yeah.
No, I could totally see the appeal from like Minecraft with that, and I do agree with Bagheera's comment in the chat there. Sci-fi may be niche compared to other genres, but it has a very loyal fan base, and I have to agree. Is like for me personally, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Huge.
Oh well, again, I really need to make this clear. There's sci-fi, then there's realistic sci-fi. So realistic sci-fi is when you're coming in and out of the space station. You're going through an airlock. You have to worry about oxygen levels. Like that's the kind of stuff that I would quantify as realistic sci-fi. It's like when you're building stuff and you're creating stuff, it's like, it's different. That's different than Star Trek or Star Wars. Like Star Wars, Star Trek, two totally different, very different. Realistic sci-fi is the guys landing on the moon, right? Small capsule, they get out, they manage to pick up some rocks, they get back in the thing, they take off, and if they ever make a mathematical mistake, they're all dead. That's what I'm talking about. That difference is huge. That difference is massive.
Fair. That's almost like it's kind of like the immersiveness, because I think maybe the one you just described, it sounds probably too much like real life, and so people are looking for like a certain level
Yes,
of
yeah, and
escapism.
that's what I mean. Yeah, the realistic sci-fi is very very different. Is very very different than traditional like fancy sci-fi like Star Trek and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's what I've heard. I've heard rumors, and I want to make it clear these are rumors. These are not things that I would. This is why I haven't done a breakdown video on what is Starfield, because I don't know what it is, and the sources that I have are really just rumor based, and they're not anything I would put. I would put no salt behind that whatsoever. So I'm not just saying take it with a grain of salt. I'm saying I don't know if this is true at all. I really don't think it is, because realistic sci-fi does seem like a weird concept, and I would think that they would know better, and that they would be able to like take that and say no, we're not going to do that. That's not the direction we want to go in.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Did I get them? Did I get all the questions? Yeah, The Expanse is also super popular, and
Yes.
The
Oh my
Expanse
gosh, it's
is
such a great show.
The Expanse is interesting in that there's not a whole lot of action in that. Like there is action, and there's definitely like scenes of like, you know, craziness, but you don't have like you don't have the crew taking on an army of thousands of you know, monster types. It's like they spend, you know, they'll spend entire episodes taking on one, right? And so
There's so much interaction between people there.
Yes, and there's way more interaction between people. There's way more. There's whole episodes where most of it is just dialogue between people, just talking about people
there's no
stuff.
annoying math in The Expanse, Eilington girl.
Yes, yeah, and there's very little techno babble as well, right? Like like Commander, the quantum phase variance is going to be is causing a disruption to our phasers. We're going to have to isolate the isolinea processors and boost them with a subatomic resonance wave. It's like you don't have any of that techno babble doesn't really live in The Expanse. So this is actually good. This is actually a really good contrast. So think Star Wars and Star Trek versus The Expanse. I think this game is more like The Expanse than it is like Star Wars. Is that a good thing? I don't know. I normally, like, the math says no, but then again, nobody's played it. So, or like nobody's reported on playing it. Nobody's talked about it publicly. So we don't know if that, you know, how good that is, if that's even what it is. So is it going to be more like a space opera, or is it going to be more like, you know, just a realistic type thing? We don't know. We'll see. And honestly, right now, I would encourage people, again, don't pre-order this. Don't buy the hype. Don't get overhyped for this. Wait and see. You know, I'll pre-order it basically a day before it goes live because it's my job. But I don't encourage anybody else to do that. Not after 76. You know, you want to see what it comes out as. As it is, I'm only going to be playing it because I have to play it in order to give like a review of the game. That doesn't mean that I encourage people to pre-order this, and that I don't encourage people to buy this at all until they are able to see it with their own hands and see if it actually plays well. You know, and this is where I hope that day one sales are very low, and that a week later they're extremely high. That's what I hope for this game, because I hope that they come out, say, here's the game, give it a try. We're sorry about 76. We're sorry about, like, you know, screwing up. We think you'll like this. This is new tech, overhaul to our engine. Try it out, see if you like it. And then that's it. No fancy, like, pre-order bonuses at 5 different stores for 5 different levels of super awesomeness. I mean, the fact that this still happens and people, like, again, we just had a game where people have gone out and bought 4 or 5 copies of it to unlock all of the stuff.
Gee.
You know, and Cyberpunk didn't do that. Nobody's giving, you know, very few people are praising them for being honest with their consumers in that way. Now, they weren't honest in several other categories, which, I mean, we can point out and be upset about. But, like we got to throw these developers a bone when they do some stuff right, and that's what I'm hoping that we'll see with you know, with this and with other studios. It's like, just focus on doing what you can do right. do that right. You know, nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
but for the love of God, like maybe don't try to like tempt people to put down like 8 different pre-orders, because I mean I remember doing that for other games, and oh Lord,
Yeah.
that was not fun at all, not even in the slightest. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up here, but this is
Yeah.
this is hopeful. I think that 2021 is going to be a bit of a better year when it comes to games. I hope, because there's been a lot of stuff that's been kind of garbage lately, and that kind of sucks. But we've got some really, at the very minimum, we have one good game this year, and that's going to be Baldur's Gate 3. At the very least, that's going to be good because we have our hands on it right now. And right now,
Yes.
being that it's in a beta stage, the game is very good. Like, if this was an EA game, they would have already released that sucker. Right? So
Yeah.
yeah. Don't get
Same.
over don't get too hyped. Uh oh, Empire of Sin, I'm waiting for the big so Empire of Sin, I still
Mhm.
like the game. I still think it's good, waiting for a content update. So
Ooh.
yes, I'm waiting for the content update. It's going to be a while. I've said before a number of times that Paradox Empire games are really, really good. They are the best of the best right now, but they are not games that are completed when they launch. You really have to wait and just pick up like additional content as it goes along. Do I recommend you get it if you're a fan of Empire Control games, a lot, and if you're a fan of the turn of the century prohibition type era type thing, pick that up.
Mhm.
Pick it up. Definitely pick it up. If you're a fan of those two things, you'll love the
Yes.
game. If you're a
Mhm.
fan of if you're not a fan of one of those things, and if you really don't like one of those things, and it's really just not your jam, don't pick it up. Don't no 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 no. It'll only make you hate it. It'll only make you hate that type of game. If you think you can give it a try, give it a try. But
Mhm.
I would strongly recommend to like if you know you're gonna pick it up now, go ahead and pick it up and wait for some DLC to come out. But right now, I recommend waiting for a major content patch or update to it, um, because the game is it's very bare bones right now. It's not bare bones to the point where I wouldn't have released it. But tell you what, they they put out a little note. I'm going to read it here. So um, they put out a note. This came out on Christmas Day. So we are grateful for the feedback we've received from you. We are already hard at work, actively crushing bugs, improving game mechanics, overall balancing to make the game what you want it to be. We have a couple of great things brewing. Following on from our recently received console patch, the next release is a big patch coming in early Q1 of 2021, internally labeled as 1.03. This patch will focus on improving combat, mission related issues based on feedback that we've received from the community. In addition, the mission team has been working through issues that we've raised, and these fixes and improvements will be made in the same big patch. We're also working closely with a newly formed community council, aka the family, to introduce new features and improvements. We're looking forward to their feedback and all that stuff. So that's what they said. And this is what I was saying. They've got a big content patch that's going to come out, fix a lot of stuff, improve the overall gameplay. I would recommend that you wait till patch 1.03. Really highly recommend that you do that. Wait till that comes out. The game will be much, much better. This game, I think, will be even better a year from now. But again, this is what makes Paradox Empire games so interesting and so much fun. Same is said for Stellaris. Stellaris came out years ago, and they have continued to pump out amazingly good content that's been getting better and better and better and better. They have a new head that's like really helped them refine where they're going with the game. And right now, they just put out patch 2.8.1.
Oh
So I
wow.
mean, this is really advanced now,
Nice.
and it's gonna continue to get better. And there's so much really cool mods and modding support for this game that it's great. But again, it's like, this is not something that you want to do overnight. This is not something you want to do without knowing what you're getting into. So just kind of know that, have that on your head, be prepared to deal with it in the smart way. And yeah, just you treat them like that. Anyways, I don't want to digress too much.
Also, I want to touch on a quick comment from Dorian Gray. I care about Nier Replicant and the fact that Yoko Taro is developing 2 games right now. I'm in heaven. I'm very excited. I loved Nier Automata, and I'm excited to see some more stuff come out.
Yeah, I hate precursors because it's like, you know where the story ends. I really, really hate precursors, but and I just came across the funniest GIF. This is an amazing GIF. I'm gonna have to see if I can find this. Right now, it's only on Steam. It's like, so there's 3 lines of soldiers, and the commander's like, fire! The first guys, they kneel down, they aim, they fire. And then he's like, fire! And the second group lines up, shoots the first group, and they all fall forward. Then the third group takes aim, and they shoot the guys, and then they fall over too. From the second line. So it's like, this is sometimes what gaming feels like, right? This is what 2020 and 2021 are going to be like. Trust me, guys. You thought 2020 was bad. 2021 is going to be 1,000 times worse. I hate to say it. Well, maybe not 1,000 times worse. There might not be a planet left over, but it's going to be just as bad, if not a lot worse. Things are going to get bad in 2021. I don't see this fixing itself for a very long time. So
make sure you keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And speaking of keeping the conversation going, I love seeing you all so active in the live chat. So if you want to continue the discussion after the podcast, you can also join us on Discord with the awesome people in our Discord community, the self-named Triple S Legion. You can either join by clicking the invite link in the video description or the one in the live chat. Saib and I are usually on the server after the live podcast, so come and say hi. There's several rooms, and somebody will usually be either gaming, streaming, or active in the chat rooms. You'll find lots of other fun and informative gaming content there as well. And don't forget to smash that like button before you leave. It likes it rough.
Alrighty, thanks for coming, guys. Hop into the Discord. We're gonna have some fun and games, I think, today. Yeah,
and a big special thanks to our Patreon supporters and channel members who help make this content possible. Our big damn heroes: Robin, Shua82, Timebean, Schoolaman, Lady Reaver, Drekoden, Niv, Too Tall 12, Atomic Stew, and our 2 anonymous, as well as our channel members, Jared Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, and Terror K. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms this podcast goes out to, we appreciate your interactions on those platforms as well. And don't forget, you can join the live show on YouTube on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be part of the discussion. See the Discord server for exact times and schedule. The Augmented Reality podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Moontag, and on behalf of Saib and Ash, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Goodbye.